For Pacifica Radio, I'm Teresa Wierzbianska. The Trump administration's USDA rolled out a new plan today to protect American farms from foreign threats, especially from countries like China. The Farm Security Action Plan calls for tighter rules on who can own farmland, including a proposed ban on Chinese nationals buying property near U.S. military bases. Laura Westbrook reports.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said the United States had overstretched the concept of national security in restraining other countries' rights to purchase land and urged the U.S. to stop politicizing economic and trade issues. Chinese ownership of U.S. farmland is limited, with official data showing China ranks number 20 on a list of foreign owners of agricultural land, holding 112,000 hectares. But it is seen as a grave national security threat to the U.S., particularly at a time of greater competition with China. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
President Donald Trump promised West African leaders a pivot from aid to trade during a White House meeting Wednesday as the region reels from the impact of sweeping U.S. aid cuts. Trump said he sees, quote, great economic potential in Africa as the leaders of Liberia, Senegal, Gabon, Mauritania, and Guinea-Bissau boasted of their country's natural resources and heaped praise on the U.S. president, including their thanks for his help in settling a long-running conflict between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. At the meeting, the U.S. president drew criticism for praising the Liberian president's English.
Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. That's beautiful English.
The official language of Liberia is English. President Donald Trump is singling out Brazil for import taxes of 50%, citing its treatment of its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. The announcement Wednesday shows that personal grudges rather than simple economics are one of the driving forces behind the U.S. leader's use of tariffs. Bolsonaro is charged with trying to overturn his 2022 election loss. Trump has described Bolsonaro as a friend and hosted the former Brazilian president at his Mar-a-Lago resort when both were in power in 2020. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said in a statement that Trump's tariff would trigger a retaliatory law and that the country, quote, will not accept being taken for granted by anyone. Ukrainian officials say that Russia pounded the capital with yet another major missile and drone attack. At least 2 people were killed in the attack overnight into Thursday. The strikes caused fires across Kyiv a day after the heaviest aerial attack of the war so far. An official in Kyiv said at least 19 people were wounded in the latest barrage. Russia has recently sought to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses with major attacks that include increasing numbers of decoy drones. The pressure has caused alarm among Ukrainian officials who are uncertain about continuing vital military aid from the United States and U.S. President Donald Trump's policy toward Russia. The Trump administration announced Wednesday that it is issuing sanctions against an independent investigator tasked with probing human rights abuses in the Palestinian territories. The latest efforts by the United States to punish critics of Israel's 21-month war in Gaza. The State Department's decision to impose sanctions on Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur for the West Bank and Gaza, follows an unsuccessful U.S. pressure campaign to force the international body to remove her from the post. It also comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting Washington this week to meet with President Donald Trump and other officials about the war in Gaza and more. 2 of Gaza's largest hospitals have issued pleas for help, warning that fuel shortages caused by Israel's siege could soon turn the medical centers into graveyards. The warnings from Al-Shifa Hospital in northern Gaza City and Nasser Hospital in southern Khan Yunis came on Wednesday as Israeli forces continued to bombard the Palestinian enclave, killing at least 74 people. Here is Dr. Mohammed Abu Samia.
We have 13 patients in intensive care, most of them on ventilators, and we have around 100 premature babies in Gaza City hospitals whose lives are in serious risk. Oxygen stations will stop working. A hospital without oxygen is no longer a hospital. The lab and blood banks will shut down. The blood units in the refrigerators will spoil. The hospital will cease to be a place of healing and will become a graveyard for those inside.
For Pacifica Radio, I'm Teresa Wierzbianska.